Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. Today we've got something pretty spicy. A little while back, just as soon as the Final Fantasy set dropped, I did play a Chocobo based deck at the request of a donor, and we're kind of revisiting that but changing some things up. So, we are basically a landfall deck. So we have our Sazh's Chocobo, which is a 1 mana 0/1 that whenever a land enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on it. We have Scythecat Cub. Whenever a land enters, you put a +1/+1 counter on a creature. If it's the second time this ability is resolved, double the number of counters on that creature. We have Bristly, which puts counters on creatures. You're seeing a theme here, right? And we have Springheart Nantuko. Whenever we get a land, we either get a copy of the creature or a 1/1 insect, depending on if we want to funnel some mana into it. So we're doing all these things. We're going to be growing like a pretty impressive board of creatures and turn them sideways. We've got 4 endurance in our deck because that's just kind of what you have to do in the meta right now. We've got 4 Elvish Reclaimers, which can also go and get us some graveyard hate, as well as some other singletons that we'll talk about. This can help us generate more landfall triggers as well. We've got a couple of crop rotations to supplement that as well. So let's talk about some of these spicy singletons that we're going to be finding off of our Green Sun Zenith. So we have Sylvan Safekeeper, which can protect our creatures. We've got ourselves a Collector Ouphe to shut down some of the artifact-based combo decks. A Keen-Eyed Curator for just a little bit more graveyard hate. This is also just a individually good body that can beat down and become a huge trampler. We have a one of Azusa, so if we have a lot of lands that we want to play, we can maybe play a lot of lands in a turn. I don't think this is necessarily good enough, and it should probably just be a crop rotation, but I couldn't pass the opportunity up to play with one of these cards. We have an Evolution Sage. Landfall. Whenever a land you control enters, proliferate. So, instead of adding one counter stuff, we can add counters to everything that already has counters. Traveling Chocobo. We can choose for this. It doubles our landfall triggers. And sometimes we can play a land or cast a creature off the top. Then we have 2 Nadus. Now, I could have gone harder into the Nadu, but we don't really want to be a Nadu deck. We're a mono green deck, but we're splashing a couple of Nadu. We've got ourselves a Hedge Maze and a Tropical Island as our ways of casting it, alongside filtering mana through the Talon Gates. We also have an Oboro, which I'll talk about in a sec. But yeah, Nadu, if we're targeting it with Sylvan Safekeeper or Scythecat Cub, Bristly, we can get some really good card advantage off of it, and it can maybe get us out of some tight spots. In terms of the funny lands we've got a few. I've already mentioned the Bojuka Bog. We obviously have Dryad Arbor to go with our Green Sun Zenith. We have an Echoing Deep so we can have a second crack at something like a Bojuka Bog. The Talon Gates of Madara, we're taking a little bit of the technology from Cradle Control here, so this is going to be how we're interacting with creatures. And you can do some pretty cool stuff with this with Traveling Chocobo, because if you have Traveling Chocobo, this will get you 2 triggers. So you can phase out 2 creatures, which is pretty wild. We have the Oboro Palace in the Clouds. So we need a blue source for our Nadu, but this is something we can tutor for, and then we can pay 1, bounce it to our hand, redeploy it, and that just means that we can secure landfall triggers. And speaking of securing landfall triggers, we have one of Undiscovered Paradise. This, after you've tapped it for mana, will bounce back to your hand in your next untap step, so this just gives us ways of keeping the churn going with playing land drops. We've got a Wasteland if we need to take out something like a Tabernacle, that can be pretty useful. We've got a bunch of fetch lands because obviously we want to be putting lands in the graveyard for Reclaimer and having more landfall triggers. Some forests, a Lair of the Hydra which we can use to beat down with, and then a Gaea's Cradle. So we're definitely taking a lot of technology from the green-black Cradle Control style decks, but we're kind of going our own way and going further into the landfall plan here and trying to stick to basically mono green. Because we're mono green, we have some sideboard considerations. 3 Dismembers. This is basically the removal we're playing. We could run some gut shots too, but I'm just going to stick with Dismembers. A little bit more graveyard hate. Maybe this is excessive when we've already got 4 Endurance, Keen-Eyed Curator, and Bojuka Bog. But this is the world we're living in. We got 4 Force of Vigor, just a great green sideboard card to blow up a bunch of scary things that get in our way. Outland Liberator, just another thing we can shoot for with our Green Sun Zenith. And then 4 Disruptor Flutes. We're not going to be great against some combo decks, so this gives us a little bit of action into them. You know, we can name a Show and Tell, we can name a Doomsday, we can try and get through that way. So that, lovely people, is what we're playing today. It's a bit spicy, a bit interesting, and we're going to be putting many triggers on the stack. So like, subscribe, and let's make some landfall happen.
If you've been watching my content and thinking, I'd like to play some Legacy too, then check out 3for1 Trading, one of Europe's leading Magic the Gathering retailers. They have weekly offers and upload new cards every Wednesday. And it's not just Legacy stuff they sell. They have a beautiful selection of vintage and old school cards too. Support from sponsors like 3for1 Trading make it possible for me to put out videos and help keep Legacy alive, so why not give them some love? Click their link in the description below and use my code COW3 to enjoy free worldwide shipping on your first order over €500.
Okay, 1 drop into 2 drop into 3 drop. Sign me up. these inconspicuous creatures get out of hand really quickly. The thing about Scythecat Cub that is really good, though, is the trample. That makes a huge difference. There's an argument that we should have the 1 mana elf, where you can pay green to give a creature trample. Maybe that's better than the Azusa, but I didn't fancy it. We could have also had an Allosaurus Shepherd in here. There's a lot of options you can play within a shell like this. Alright, let's play our forest and get our little bird friend in. I do like cards like this. Just a simple single line of text. That's all you need on a card. Mox Diamond. Okay, we're probably like Green White Depths or some sort of lands variety. Probably lands since they're playing out the Saga. That tends to be not as regular of a thing. Okay, Malevolent Rebel, this is definitely just a lands deck. So this Endurance could come in clutch at a certain time. We shall see. I don't really want to have to pitch it. Okay, we don't have to pitch anything just yet. We've got a few options here. Do we want to play the Scythecat Cub this turn, or do we want to play it with backup? I think we probably want to play it with backup. So what we can do here is we can play this Echoing Deeps as a Bojuka Bog, take out their graveyard. Or we could go and get a Wasteland here and get ready to take out the Saga. And then next turn we can play the cat and a fetch land in one go. That seems quite good to me. So let's get this Bojuka Bog. Let's target our opponent. I don't think we're fetching a Dryad Arbor here. I think we're just going to hold up this Green Sun Zenith. It gives us more options for later on when we can put more into X. It also gives us the ability to choose which card we pitch the Endurance if we have to pitch the Endurance for some reason. I don't think we do. Exploration, sure. Dark Depths is a little spooky. They are a crop rotation away from us. Do we have anything in our deck that can beat a Marit Lage? Let's have a little look. I don't believe we do. No. Okay. So, Scythecat Cub. Down you come. So, Windswept Teeth. So, how big is their Saga going to be? Just a 2/2. So, our creature's going to be big enough already. So, we're going to start stacking up on the Scythecat Cub. Let's crack in with our 2/3. To have a crop rotation, we just lose here. Let's go and fetch a... What are we going to get here? Forest? Or are we going to get the Tropical Island? Are we deploying this... If we get the Sylvan Safekeeper, we can just get Nadu next turn. It's not really... Actually, no, we're still 1 mana shy of Nadu, aren't we? No, we have 3 mana here and this mana. Yeah, so we can go and get Nadu next turn if we get the Trop and play the Safekeeper out. So we will double the counters on this, but we will then put the counters from the Chocobo on top. So this is going to be hitting for 6 this turn. I'll deploy the Safekeeper. And then next turn, we can do some pretty gross things with Nadu. This looks like a token. That's fine. So they're going to be able to tutor for Expedition map here. I think we can probably Nadu our way through this one. Oh, Lava Spurt Boots. Oh, we're just getting killed right now. We are getting killed right now. We don't have a way of getting this Talon Gates down. Yep. You got it. So they make a 20/20, they give it the Lava Spurt Boots, and they crack in. Okay. So, what looks good here? Maybe Disruptor Flutes? Maybe... I don't think we need Ferryman cards. We already have a bunch of Graveyard Hate. Don't mind the crop rotations here. I think all of our lands are relevant at some stage in this particular game. Probably get rid of the Evolution stage. It's maybe a little bit too cute. Although we can do some weird stuff where we make them race through a Saga, but I think we'd rather just Disruptor Flute the Saga. Maybe Azusa goes. We're going to trim some of the fun stuff a little bit so we can fit in the stuff that we actually need so we don't die. Traveling Chocobo can really get out of hand. We don't need the Collector Ouphe here. And then we need to make one more cut if we would like access to Disruptor Flute. Maze of Ith and stuff exist, so I think we want to keep the Sylvan Safekeeper. This also gives us the ability to pop off hard with a Nadu, which can go over the top of what our opponent's doing. Do I want to trim like a Bristly Bill? I don't think it's Bristly Bill. It might be one of the Springheart Nantukos. That gets us 4 flutes. I think this lands deck at the moment is very, very good. If I had myself some Mox Diamonds and Tabernacles and Paper, I could be quite tempted to play it at the Eternal Mania event. What does this hand do? What does it do? We can do the weird Green Sun Zenith, go and get Dryad Arbor, untap, put Springheart Nantuko on it, and then start making copies. That's not very exciting. I think we could do a little bit better than this. Get some aggro going. Okay. I like the Reclaimer. Do we need Undiscovered Paradise right now? I don't think we do. We're not about that. So we'll go and get ourselves a basic forest here. Deploy our Reclaimer. And pass it over. An Urza's Saga. Yep, it's a good card. Just mean they've got a Mox Diamond or an Ancient Tomb to go with it. I wonder why they've played out in this order. Tabernacle. Okay, well that sucks. Mox Diamond, they're going to discard the Tabernacle. No, discarding the Dark Depths. Have you got an additional play? Oh, lordy, this is bad. Okay. I don't like our spot at all here. Disruptor Flute. We can't get the Disruptor Flute in, given the current nature of things, which is unfortunate. Do I need a Surveil land here? Is that what I'm looking for? I think we just get the Lair in so it's untapped. And then we get to crack in for one. If this Wooded Foothills was like the third land, then maybe we would think about it so we can get more damage in, and maybe we just have to hope our opponent's kind of all in on this start. They're going to get an Urza Saga construct, most likely. Yep. And we now have two differing problems that we have to be aware of here. I think I'm actually more worried about the Thespian stage. Alright, something's happening in the second main phase. No? Life from Alone, getting back Dark Depths. Okay, this means they're not making a token this turn. Okay, so we have an actual line here that works. I'm as surprised as you are. So yes to this. And then we'll crack this. Get another forest. Get Disruptor Flute in. Name Thespian stage. So the Tabernacle and the Depths, neither of them tap for mana. So if we attack here, they can't block. They do have Life from Alone, which can eventually find them a Boseiju to break out of here. Alright, they hit nothing, but they can get back their Urza Saga. Would they rather get back their Saga now or have a guy? It looks like they're going for the guy. So what is it, 3/3? And they can equip it to make it a 4/3. But we can handle like a guy, that's not the issue. If they also tap out for this, then we can blow them out with our Endurance later on. Depending on if we want to stop them having an Urza Saga, or we want to stop them having a Life from Alone. I guess we can kind of do both because we have access to 2 pieces of Graveyard Hate in hand. Or in hand and on board. Alright, so going for the Expedition map. They didn't make a guy, so this makes me think we're going to get hit by Life from Alone, bringing back the Saga and redeploying it. They can Expedition map for Boseiju. Do they have enough mana to make that all work though? I don't think so. Yep, so cracking the map. But they obviously can just slow roll this for another turn. Yep, there's the Boseiju. So if we draw our crop rotation, that's pretty good. We can phase out their creature and buy ourselves a turn. But it's not looking good, team. Okay, I'll play out a Windswept Heath. I think we're in the position of needing to Talon Gates their creature. If for some reason they don't go for it, then we can just dump in this Endurance, strip out their graveyard. Wow, once upon a time like that, that's not really a big display of strength, is it? Oh, they missed. In the lands deck, they missed on lands. Happens to the best of us. Oh, they're playing out the Boseiju. And the Otawara. These are both things that can interact with what we're doing here. Life from Alone to get back as a Saga. I think this is a spot where we're going to get ourselves a forest and cast this Endurance. Right, so Life from Alone does nothing. Next turn we can then Bojuka Bog this. Is it better to Endurance this and keep the beatdown going? I think it is. So this one will be a Tropical Island. Green, green, green. Get rid of that Life from Alone. Crack it in for 6. Well, we've certainly found a line that can get us over the finish line. Wasteland, they can take out our Lair or our Trop. What are they more scared of? More scared of the Lair, sure. But that's fine. So we'll pay for all of our friends. Keep deploying lands. Attack with our friends. I guess we made a mistake there. We should have held back the Reclaimer because it's still a 2-turn clock. And if they hit a Boseiju here, they can kill us. Right? No, they Boseiju. No, they still can't kill us. Once upon a time. Is this one going to miss as well? Alright, we got a game. Let's see if we can do something similar in the next game. Do we want some Force of Vigor action or some Outland Liberator action? So the reason we might want these is so that we can mess with our opponent's Urza's Sagas. I don't think we want to do this to like blow up everything, but sometimes that can be pretty clutch. Maybe we don't need to be doing like Chocobo stuff. Maybe we can just have like a Liberator. Bristly Bill is fine. Springheart Nantuko is okay. And maybe we'll just have a Liberator in. I think that's the better option of those. Okay, we've got Chocobo, we have Graveyard Hate, we have Artifact Enchantment Hate. We can go and get a Wasteland to mess with their combo. This is fine. I'm not a big lover of this Dryad Arbor. But we're on the draw. Chances are we're going to hit another land in 2 draw steps. Once upon a time. Are they going to miss again? No. A very nice basic forest. I love the Antonius Waters forests. They're very nice. It wasn't the fact that I use Onslaught basic lands for nostalgic reasons. These are the ones I would choose for forests. Okay, let's get a tiny little friend in. Let's hope they don't kill me with a Marit Lage. We can phase out a Marit Lage, but we kind of need them to have our crop rotation as a thing that actually works. So they can't go for it right now. And just make it. Okay, it looks like they're doing something else. Just a little expedition map. Sure. No lands, though. Oh, no, they do have a land. It's a Maze of Ith. That's annoying. Crop rotating away the Thespian stage. What is this? An Urza's Saga? No, a Yavimaya. Okay. Life from the Loam. Back on the Thespian stage. Is this what I'm about? They are representing the combo. I don't think we fight over this. I think we just get rid of the Life from the Loam next turn. We do get to attack here. I don't think our opponent cares about that, though. So we have a Windswept Heath. That's interesting for us. Alright, so we'll pump our little friend. We'll pump the friend again. So 2 mana gets this, 3 mana. Do I hold up the crop rotation so we can get the Wasteland? I don't think we've shown our opponent that we're running Wasteland yet. But I think it is just Pitchcast Endurance now, hold up crop rotation. So we shot off a Life from Alone. They're kind of all in on this Marit Lage. I'll crack this. Go and get another forest. Actually, do we get the Hedge Maze here? And we get a little bit of selection as well. Sure. Grow the little bird. Another land. We don't really need that. At least we don't need it now. Things can change. So we have crop rotate for Wasteland if our opponent just goes for the combo. Right, cracking the map. Feels like they're very all in on this line. There is the Dark Depths. Are you making it now? They are. So we let this become a copy. We let them choose which one to keep, and then with this trigger on the stack, I'm going to crop rotate for a Wasteland. Goodbye, Dark Depths. They actually kept the wrong one there, I think. Yeah, they did keep the wrong one. That one had counters on. And the Death's Mistake. I didn't even need to do that. Our opponent just made a mistake. Or maybe they were baiting me with something. I don't really know what happened there. Okay, Wooded Foothills, grow the friend. Attack with the friend. Grow the friend again. Get Reclaimer. This can then mess with their graveyard. Yeah, they just clicked on the wrong one there, so we didn't actually need to interact. But if we just assume our opponent made a little mistake and like misclicked, then what we did is effectively making it a fair game if our opponent just said, oh, sorry, that was a mistake, blah, blah, blah. It's the sort of thing that would never happen in paper. All right, and there's another state. There's Saga as well. Okay, how are we going to deal with this Maze of Ith, I wonder? Oh, we're getting dismembered. Okay, so we don't have any options with our Reclaimer. The Maze of Ith is going to shut down our Chocobo pretty handily. A Cradle. We're not really about that Cradle life, are we? All right, we'll get in this Undiscovered Paradise. We can keep bouncing this. We can tap it for green mana so it doesn't bounce if we want to as well. We're going to make our opponent use the Maze of Ith because we want to make sure that they know that they need to actually spend this, because this is mana as well as being a Maze of Ith because of the Yavimaya. Maze of Ith is going to be a little bit tricky for us to get through. We need to go wide, but they're just going to They're probably going to Thespian Stage copy the Saga and just have a permanent Saga doing its thing. I kind of want to disrupt a flute the Maze of Ith, but I don't think we get to do that. Alright, let's attack with the Chocobo. Like, this is going to be bigger than anything apart from Marilage. We knew this was happening. We didn't need to play our Dryad Arbor until afterwards. Alright, let's make it bigger. Maybe we can just get one little swing through with a Chocobo at some point. Let's see what our opponent does with this Urza Saga. They're making a construct. Do I shut down the Saga right now so just get one construct? Do they have another expedition map? I think we just shut down the Saga now. If Thespian Stage copies the Saga, it becomes the name Saga, so it's not going to be able to make tokens. Alright, we need to draw more Disruptor Flutes. Alright, we've got Once Upon a Time popping off as well here. If they find a Dark Depths, that sucks for us. They found a Dark Depths. Okay. So not naming the Thespian Stage there is coming back to bite us. Maybe we're just supposed to be okay with the Sagas. But if they... The problem is, if we don't... I guess if we name Thespian Stage, then this Saga just ticks up and that's fine. So they get the Lava Sphere Boots and they just kill us here. Alright, GG's opponent. Maybe we're supposed to name the Thespian Stage there. But we didn't know the last card in their hand was going to dig them. We were kind of playing against the thing on the board that was kind of worrying. But if we name the stage, they can't copy the Saga. So they just get the two guys, but then they get the boots off of it still. Maybe they have something else. I don't know. This feels like it's going to be tricky for us, to say the least. But we put up a good fight. Let's go to round 2. We're on the draw. We've got like 25 lands. Alright, I will keep this one. Because we're so good at playing on basics as well, we have a 1-drop. We have another 1-drop. We can go and get the Dryad Arbor here. Oh, Fellmire. That's terrifying. We do have an Endurance, though. And we drew a land. So if they're oopsing us, we at least have interaction. Not a big lover of this Azusa right now. Again, I did say it's probably not good enough in the deck. It should probably just be another crop rotation. But, you know, there's not many times you get opportunities to play something like this in Legacy. And it does fit in the shell we're trying to accomplish. Okay. 2 mana, Cabal Ritual. Yep. An additional mana. An Undercity Informer. Okay. I'm going to sack their Undercity Informer. They are indeed. Let's see what they have. So, we have a play here. Our play is Endurance. Do you have a Pact of Negation? There are 1, 2, 3. There's only 3 Pact of Negation. 1, 2, 3. They're not running the full 4 pacts. Or can I just not see one in here? 1, 2, 3. Huh. Okay. I'll have some more Graveyard Hate, please. Do I want any of these things for, like, their pivot plans? So what do we not really need here? Again, Azusa, probably don't need this. Evolution Sage, Chocobo, we don't need those things. The Nadu combo is good if we can start ripping it off, because that just gives us, like, the cards that we can always use to mess with what our opponent's doing. Collector Ouphe is very good here. Keen-Eyed Curator is probably not good enough here. Although, it's still Graveyard Hate. It's still probably worth running. We don't really need a Safekeeper here, do we? That's what we're looking at the moment. This is 59 cards. So we can put in the Outland Liberator. This can blow up stuff. Alternatively, we can have a Disruptor Flute, which can name whatever we need it to. Do we need more hatred for our opponent's pivot plan? I think we do. I think we're going to have these things in. So this way we can name Goblin Charboucher, but if they like put an Undercity Informer on the stack, we can go no, or whatever. Sometimes we can name Dread Return and mess our opponent up a little bit. Alright, we have 2 Endurances. So this is protection that stops our opponent from comboing turn 1 unless they have Pact of Negation or double Thoughtseize. So we are able to beat a Thoughtseize and turn 1 send. Okay, that is 4 mana our opponent has assembled there. A Goblin Charbelcher. Yep, this is the thing that I said that could happen. I will deploy this because it gets us a Hedge Maze. So they need to have 3 mana to fire this off. So we might have 1 more turn to draw this. Okay, they just have a Cabal Ritual and we're dead. Okay, so maybe the Destructive Flutes are too slow. Good old Utsul spells. What a piece of rubbish. Okay. There's Force of Vigors. Do we need these? Maybe we'll do a split. The worst of both worlds, as we like to call it. Maybe Keen-Eyed Curator is too slow. Like, we did board in stuff for the Charbelcher, but they just went very quickly with it. Normally, amassing 7 mana isn't the easiest thing in the world, but whatever. Okay, this loses to Charbelcher, but beats their Graveyard Send. Like, I think we have to keep it. Second land gives us a lot of purchase here, but we have double. Like, this is just not losing to the majority of their deck. They have 4 Charbelchers in their whole deck, but they have up to 8 of the creatures, depending on how they pivoted. And we took a while in sideboarding, so they can probably anticipate us having stuff for the Charbelcher. Oboro. Okay, I guess we just hold up the Reclaimer here. And sacrifice this Tropical Island. I would like a Gaea's Cradle, I think. Is it Gaea's Cradle or is it Hedge Maze? If we take the Cradle, then if we draw any land, we get to play Scythecat Cub and hold up Elvish Reclaimer. Okay, we didn't hit that. That is annoying. Okay, I think we're just going to go for this now. And crack for 1. A little bit shields down the graveyard, but we've got lots of graveyard hate. We need to win the game before our opponent can put something on the stack that kills us. Undercity Informer. You got it, boss. 6 cards in hand. They have a Spirit Guide to fire this off. Yes, the Ouphe All Spells deck with more lands than other combo decks in the format. What a world. Talon Gates of Madara. Sure, I'll play that. I will put a counter on our little Scythecat Cub. I'll phase out your Undercity Informer. I will attack with my Scythecat Cub here. I don't think we're losing to a graveyard line with our hand. Now, if we do, then what are we doing in this format at this point? Alright, they're targeting themselves with Undercity Informer. There's some narcomedia bit of stuff going on over there. Sacrifice the Talon Gates, go and get our Bojuka Bog. And then we can use the Fairy Macabres if they're going to do a line using the Memory's Journey Jack-o'-lantern plan. I'd like to exile your graveyard, please, opponent. What's Memory Journey in their hand? Trying to work out what they put back in. Spoiler alert, it doesn't matter. So what we can also do is when we put the Endurance in, Pitchcaster with Nadu, we'll have 3 creatures temporarily, so we tap the Cradle and we have Endurance. So this time we have Bojuka Bog, Fairy Macabre, 2 Endurances. That's 5 pieces of graveyard hate. If our opponent can beat this, then I don't know. I don't know what world we're living in if they can beat this. I think we could just have our hand face up at this point and our opponent still loses. I don't think there's a way they can play around it. How many Pacts of Negation? I think they've boarded out their Pacts of Negation. Unless they have 4 Pacts of Negation in hand. And I still think we can beat them with these Fairy Macabres. Right. They're spending the mana finally. What are they targeting? Goblin Charbelcher and Lotus Petal. Let's pop out this graveyard. So targeting Charbelcher and the Lotus Petal. Alright, we got the match. Eat it, Ouphe All Spells. Undiscovered Paradise, you are awkward. You are a little awkward. If this is the forest, I think I like this hand quite a lot. Is the Undiscovered Paradise going to jam us up too much? Well, you know, you make your bed, you got to lie in it at the end of the day. Let's see how we fare with this Undiscovered Paradise. Like, this is more of a thing that we tutor for in certain situations. It's just like a value Reclaimer activation. Oh, our opponent is doing Reclaimer stuff too. A bird. There is a bird over there. Alright, we got double bird action. Undiscovered Paradise is my favourite rainbow land ever printed. I think it's just neat. Maybe that's because I also love Bloodcast a bit too much. But here we are. Alright. Green Man in the Pool, Sylvan Safekeeper. Our opponent could be Green White Depths. They could be some kind of Cradle control build. Could be mid-range Nadu. A Dryad Arbor. That's not the one we wanted. Do we need to play out... Like, I could just play out the Wasteland and take out their Cradle. I could just play out the Wasteland and then whatever they get with the Reclaimer, we can then Wasteland. I'm not attacking my 1-2 into the... I guess we could trade this with a Sylvan Safekeeper if they double block, or we can get 1 damage in. I think I'm just going to chill out for a sec. We're going to fetch something. They can give us 2 choices of what to Wasteland here by sacking the forest. But we can't really use this Wasteland whilst they have the Reclaimer activations up. But we managed to fog a Reclaimer activation. They just couldn't do it. That's good. This Bojuka Bog might come in handy to like shrink our opponent's Reclaimer and possibly their creatures if they're running things like White of the Reliquary, which seems likely now we've seen the Bayou. Seems even more likely now it's on the stack. Okay. What is the deal here? Okay, quite happy to see this forest, to be honest. This gives us a 2-3. We can make it into a 4-5 by crop rotating for a fetch land. Is that where I want to be here? Like, attacking makes more sense because as soon as this is untapped, it's going to mess with us a fair bit. Right, let's attack with the Chocobo. I imagine they just take it. It's just 2 damage. And endurance. Okay. Be my guest. Now, are you blocking with just the endurance? It is just the endurance. Okay. Crop rotation. We will get a fetch land. We will grow our little friend. We'll crack this. We'll get a forest, I think. Is it forest we want here? Like, we're probably wastelanding right now, aren't we? So we maybe should get a hedge maze. An endurance of our very own. That can certainly mess with some of our opponent's things. Sure, I'll leave that on top. Oh, I'm kind of regretting that now if we're going to wasteland. But it'll be useful later on. Alright, let's take out the Cradle while we can. I could have sacked to give something protection, but I guess they didn't really feel the need. Or sorry, to give it a Shroud. So they can make their Reclaimer a 3-4 at will. Our creature is going to scale up, but they have things like Talon Gates that can just phase it out. Thoughtseize, have a look at my nonsense hand. It's almost certainly going to be the Scythecat Cub here. I guess the Springheart Nantuko, if we can go wide enough, that's really irritating for our opponent. The Chocobo does go pretty wild with all the other things in our hand, though. Yep, they took the Scythecat Cub. I think that's correct. So it should be cracking in with everything here. The White of the Reliquary has Vigilance. They can use this to just phase out our guy whenever they want, so we kind of can't hold this back on blocks. I guess it makes them sacrifice like a 1-1, but that's not really very exciting, is it? So we're going to have this endurance that we're not thrilled about. We could play the Paradise and the Springheart Nantuko, or we could play the Dryad Arbor to have a blocker. Then the follow-up turn we can get a Chocobo, or we could get a Springheart Nantuko and a Landfall trigger in the same turn. Or we can play the Endurance. If we play Undiscovered Paradise, we're basically not casting these 3-drops. We can play the Bojuka Bog, shrink their creatures. That's reasonable. Is that better than a Dryad Arbor? Probably. As I mentioned before, the Talon Gates means that this on blocks isn't necessarily the most exciting thing. But we're reducing our opponent's clock here. So they got 4 damage here. So our clock is going to be pretty substantive here. We have a 5 power attacker. Let's send that in. In an emergency, we can always pitch cast an endurance. I don't really want to do that, but it's something we can do if we need to shrink some stuff. They're just going to take it. They don't want to sack their guy for Talon Gates. No. Okay. So they can put us to 10 this turn. And then we can clap back for another 5. Well, it's actually going to be 6, isn't it? A Cradle. That's a lot of mana. Yep, that team should come in. This has Vigilance. So the one thing that maybe shouldn't come in is Reclaimer, depending on if they want to cycle anything away. A Sazh's Chocobo, you say? Okay, I guess we're going to play out a little friend. I could play out the Springheart Nantuko. I don't think I want to do that yet. I think I want to just play out this Dryad Arbor. I'm going to grow the friends. Cute little bird friends. Send in our cute little enormous 6/7. It's both little and enormous. Time for the Talon Gates. No, they want to take half their life total. Interesting. Nope. Okay, we got something happening here. Okay, they're just putting in a Talon Gates from hand to phase out my poor little bird. Understood. Next turn, we can play Travelling Chocobo, play a land, and then all of a sudden, everything kind of pops off. And we still have this endurance if we need to shrink our opponent's creatures. A Noble Hierarch. Not very exciting. There is the Hierarch. So they can attack for 3. They can then sack this. Go and get a Dryad Arbor, then sack the Dryad Arbor. So I can put 2 more power into this. But I think I'm okay just taking 3 damage here. We could also just go for the... I guess... Yeah, we could go for the Dryad Arbor, the infinite Dryad Arbor loop here. That's kind of interesting. So if we put Springheart Nantuko on Dryad Arbor, then we can make copies of Dryad Arbors. Now, our board is starting to get quite out of hand here. Am I okay attacking with my 8-9 this turn? Forcing them to get Talon Gates now. Are they going to get Talon Gates anyway? Maybe we just hold for a turn because we are obviously going to win the long game with what we're putting down right now. The Dryad Arbor Springheart Nantuko combo is pretty gross. If we can find a Cradle, then we just end up with all the Dryad Arbors and our opponent ends up unable to get through our sea of terrible 1/1s. So they can phase out one of our guys now. We still have this bonus endurance they don't know about that can maybe mess up their combat maths. They're getting a Dryad Arbor here, which they can then sack to the white of the Reliquary. Okay, Lair of the Hydra. They can channel a decent amount of mana into that, but it doesn't have trample, so we can just block it with one of our 1/1s. Are they getting rid of the Noble Hierarch? For Wooded Foothills. Okay, so this is going to help them grow their Reclaimer. They're fetching to thin before their draw step as well, and they're getting a Surveil land. So they're thinning the thinning is basically irrelevant, but the scry is pretty good. They left the card on top. That is not really what I wanted to see there. Another white of the Reliquary. I don't actually mind that too much. Things about to get wild here. Bayou, no cards left in our opponent's hand. Okay. If we get to untap without being too threatened this combat phase, then I think the game is probably ours. We definitely go very wide next turn. Imagine if we draw Crop Rotation and get ourselves a Gaia's Cradle. That would be incredible stuff. Alternatively, we could just draw the Gaia's Cradle. It is a one-off, so it's not the most likely thing. What does Green Sun Zenith find us that we actually want here? Not that much. So, we could deploy the Travelling Chocobo first, and then just go absolutely ham. Underscale Paradise looking pretty good right now there, isn't it? Alright, so let's get another trigger here. When this deck pops off, it does a lot of things. So, we don't have the mana to pay for this one. We don't have the mana to pay for this one. But all of these landfall triggers are doubled, so this is a lot of stuff. I think we can afford to attack with a couple of guys here. Is that reasonable to attack with these? Yes, I think so. This one is lethal, so it has to be stopped by some fashion. We have 6 blockers for their potential 5 attackers. So they could block this one, then sacrifice it to get Talon Gates to phase the other one out. Or do the other way around is fine. I have to assume that's what's happening, so they're not just going to let 12 damage come through. So goodbye, Silver Safekeeper. And again, we do have this sneaky endurance play that's going to mess up our opponent's damage calculations. I've been banging on about this, and hopefully it'll come in clutch. I don't know if they have an Echoing Deeps here or not. Kind of wish I had that elf that let you give creatures trample now. That'd be really handy. Maybe that is what our deck needs. It's obviously very good with Nadu as well, which is a thing that we can assemble soonish. Okay, so we're going to Reclaimer for what exactly? They've kind of got all their exciting tech lands out that I can think of. This does give them the full power Reclaimer. They can sack a bunch of lands after we Endurance to pump up the Reclaimer again. But I'm not really sure how they're going to get through all of our blockers. They can phase one out if they have an Echoing Deeps. They normally don't play more than 2 Talon Gates. Okay, I will do some chump blocking here. We could go really wild here and block all of these and then do the Endurance. I quite like that as a strategy here. Just clean these objects off the board. Because once the 2 damage is on them, as soon as we Endurance, they will die to state-based effects. So it will clear their graveyard, and then state-based effects are checked, so they immediately die. Beautiful. There's no window to put anything on the stack the way we've done it there. Because state-based are checked whenever anyone gets the opportunity to put something on the stack. I'm going to draw this Sylvan Library that is fine. Our opponent's had enough. We managed to grind our way there. Cool. That was a really sweet game of Magic, to be honest. Dismembers look good here. There is an argument for Disruptor Flutes to shut off some of their guys. So I think we're going to take out... Sorry, Azusa. You're not great. Truth be told. So we get rid of the Azusa. Everything else looks so good here. Maybe the Evolution Sage goes. That gives us 2 Dismembers. What would my 3rd Dismember of choice be? Everything here just looks so good. Our deck is just so beautiful and perfect and handsome. going wide with Springheart Nantuko is kind of a big deal. A big trampoline guy is a big deal. Oh, one drops are big deals. Are we getting rid of a Nadu? Are we trimming a Nadu? Yeah, let's trim a Nadu. We're not a Nadu deck. We're a deck with Nadu in. There's a quite significant difference between those two things. Okay, so we have a Dismember. So this hand looks like just a bunch of mana, but it's actually like a weird hand where we've got this bad creature, we've got a removal spell, we've got a thing to hit their land with, and we've got a thing that can snowball. Is this good enough? We do need to answer their first creature. Alright, we'll give it a whirl. Forest. Is it going to be Reclaimer? Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor. That's fine. If they need land, then I'm going to wasteland this. No. Not for you, opponent. Noble Hierarch? Sure. If they miss on land, then we'll obviously dismember this. Bolt the bird. But not my birds, please. Another guy, sure. Cradle. Okay. Our little mana dance strategy feels terrible. Cool. Let's play a bird. Let's play land. Am I going to Green Sun Zenith for anything? The only thing we can Green Sun Zenith for is Dryad Arbor, so no. Sure, we'll just pass here. Am I supposed to hit that Cradle? We can't hit the Cradle. Our Wasteland's in the graveyard. We could crop rotate for the Echoing Deeps and have a Wasteland ready to go. Our opponent has one piece of black mana and it's Ignoble Hierarch. I could get a Hedge Maze here, or I could just save this as an additional landfall trigger. So how big is this going to be? A 2-3. So we can make a 2-3 ourselves. I think this means we're getting just a forest this time though. We don't want to get the Hedge Maze in case we need to crop rotate for something weird that's about to happen. Because this is obviously just the thing that was on board. Alright, we just bounce off, that's fine. They've got some sort of natural order pivot plan. Generally speaking, these decks haven't been playing a lot of natural orders, or if any. So it's not really something I've been anticipating. But it might be a way that they can try and just, you know, have an I win button in some trickier matchups. Okay, this is a Green Sun Zenith, I think. So obviously debating about what size of mana to put into it. That makes me think they're going to Green Sun. Can go get themselves a white of the Reliquary. Green Sun Zenith X equals 3. 3 is a weird number. Okay, it's a grist. Understood. They're going to make an insect. Okay. What is our plan here? We need to be able to deal with this grist somehow. I don't know what that looks like. We could just start going wide. If we go Springheart Nantuko on this, play a land, crop rotation for Cradle. That sounds like a pretty good start to a turn, doesn't it? So let's bestow. Let's play a land. Let's crack this. Let's get forest. And we crop rotate. Go and get our guy's Cradle here. Do I want... So how much mana do we get off of this Green Sun Zenith? So we can get 4 mana right now. Would I like 4 mana right now? What does that get us from the Zenith? Gets us a Nadu. Or a Chocobo. Quite like the Nadu here. We only have the one Nadu though. So maybe it's not the Nadu we want. We could get the Safekeeper. We don't really want to sacrifice lands. Okay, I think I'll just get the Nadu. Let's attack Grist here. Chump block with the insect. This means they have to get rid of a piece of real cardboard instead of a token if they want to minus the Grist and kill our Chocobo. But if they kill our Chocobo, we draw a card. If they kill our Nadu, we draw a card. If they target any of our guys, we're going to draw a card. This is almost like how Nadu was probably supposed to have been as a card, where we're just kind of getting a little bit of value off of it if they interact with us. Right, they're going after Nadu rather than our Chocobo. We found another Springheart Nantuko. That's pretty big news. Okay, 4 mana here. One of it is black. Alright, they're snuffing out our Chocobo. So our bestow thing falls off, but it's still in play. We can kill the Grist this turn. We can do something real gross here, can't we? We can just go super duper uber wide. So if we go bestow on the Springheart Nantuko, then we can make copies of Springheart Nantuko. Why do we only get 1 there? Right, so we'll play out Misty Bill. Little Elvish Reclaimer. We'll attack everything at Grist. And we are chugging away nicely with our deck here. I'm sorry, yeah, we only get the first one because the Nantuko itself wasn't bestowed. So we got one copy from this and one insect from this. But every land we play is pretty bananas. Keen-Eyed Curator is not going to be good enough to tackle the widest board you've ever seen. We can also phase this out this turn. Keen-Eyed Curator of our very own. Alright, let's sacrifice this forest. Just go and get... kind of want to get Oboro, but we don't need to. We just Talon Gates this. And what we're going to grow, probably just an insect here. And then we'll phase out their only thing that can block. I think they're wondering if they want to... okay, I was going to say, I think they're wondering if they wanted to make any stuff leave our graveyard. So this is the one that can't make a copy, so we just let that make an insect. This one can make a copy, right? So we say yes to this Springheart Nantuko. This one makes an insect. Play our Keen-Eyed Curator. We start exiling cards from their graveyard now that their Keen-Eyed Curator isn't here to do so. To keep their graveyard empty for the purposes of everything. Okay, they've had enough. Yeah, our deck felt sweet. Being able to outgrind a Cradle control deck list is quite impressive in a sort of a mid-rangey deck. But we managed to get there. Okay, on to round 4. For the best Eternal experience this summer, check out Eternal Mania in Hasselt, Belgium from August 8th to 10th. Aside from hosting the European Legacy Masters, they have a whole host of other tournaments from team trios to old school and pre-modern. I will be there playing Legacy and hanging out as a special guest. This will also be the first event that I'll be giving out my own special Marit Lage tokens, so why not come down to enjoy an awesome weekend run by one of the best TOs in Europe. Alright, there's lots of stuff I like in here, so let's keep it. We might be playing out the Boseiju as our turn 1 land, just so we can maximise our fetch lands. Hopefully we won't regret that, and our opponent won't just go like Ensnaring Bridge. Basic Plains. Nomads. So they're on the breakfast deck that I saw them playing the other day. Okay. What does that mean for us? Okay, the endurance helps here. I think... do we play out the Catacombs now? I think we do. I'll get Tropical Island so our opponent's thinking about counter spells. Play the Cub. We have the endurance. That will hopefully beat the breakfast. Okay, so they're forced of winning the Scythecat Cub. That suggests to me that our opponent doesn't have the combo and they need to play a longer game here. Now, the Nadu combo certainly goes over the top of what we're doing unless we assemble our own Nadu combo. But then they have Force of Wills and Swords of Plowshares in their deck. Okay, we can waste down this as a Saga. That'd be something I'd be very interested in doing here. I'd like to play a Scythecat Cub. If I have an interaction, I would have imagined it would have got fired off then. So let's put this one. Let's put a counter on the Chocobo. Let's crop rotate away this Boseiju. Let's get a Wasteland. Looks like our opponent is... oh, I stacked this the wrong way around. Ugh, that's so annoying. We should have get one more power on this. Let's take out the Ezra Saga. Alright, our opponent is dead next turn. If they just draw Cephalid Illusionist and play an island, we lose. Don't do it to me. Okay, they're passing the turn. Undiscovered Paradise, please. We're going to start building up our Cub now. I think the main way we lose this game is if our opponent manages to combo somehow, so I'm going to hold this endurance back. Yep, chump block the big guy, take 3 off the Pussycat. We have landfall triggers secured for the rest of time at this point. Opponent's going to 4 here. So our opponent could be on 1 less life now, if we'd have stacked the triggers correctly on the previous turn. Whether or not that matters, I'm unsure. Alright, got game 1. So, Cephalid Breakfast. I guess we want some Dismembers. They seem pretty handy. The Urza Saga is kind of annoying. So we have a bunch of things we can bring in. I'm sorry, Azusa and Evolution Sage. You're just too cute to be what I want to be doing. Keen-Eyed Curator is good graveyard hate. This protects our creatures. Crop rotation is a little bit sketchy into our opponent's stuff. We don't need Collector Ouphe here. So how many cards is that we get to bring in? That is 3 cards. Do we want any additional cards? I like the Nadu. Like, we don't need to go super wide with the Springheart, so we can probably trade that in for what exactly? The Outland Liberator can attack into Urza Saga tokens and kill them. We could have a Force of Vigor that can blow up Urza Saga construct and Shuko and things. I'll take a one of Force of Vigor. Do we need the Nadu? Well, like, we're not great at being a Nadu deck, to be honest. Maybe I'll trim a Nadu for a second Force. Or no, an Outland Liberator. Because Outland Liberator is never going to be dead, but sometimes the Force will be. Okay. I think it's better than having like Collector Ouphe to try and stop them activating their artifacts or whatever. The flexibility is important to me. I don't really like starting with a Boseiju, with a Bojuka Bog in hand. What does this hand do? This is a Nadu hand, isn't it? I don't like this one. Yes. This is what I came here to do. Do I need to... I think we don't... Oh, no, sorry. I think it's the Outland Liberator that goes here, because we don't need to worry about construct tokens because our creatures are going to be enormous. That is a little guy. I guess we have to respect the fact they can combo us on turn 2. Do I want to just kill this now and be done with it? I think so. It just makes our curving way better. And our deck kind of needs to aggressively curve. Is this just Scythecat Cub? No. I think it is Chocobo into Surveil Land. I'm not going to tutor for the Dryad Arbor. That's the thing we can do later once we have 2 landfall creatures in play. And that becomes a much more appetizing prospect. A Brainstorm. Good cards are good. I can't remember what I was playing the other day when I played against our opponent and they're on the same deck. They absolutely bodied us. Sure, you can Prismatic End my little bird. Another reason to play that out first is because it's the weaker of our landfall creatures. So if they're going to burn removal, they can burn removal on the worst creature. Green mana. It's just, okay, it's the blue mana for Ponder, but this also sets them up for Nadu next turn. Possibly Nadu into the Nomads. Now they are a Yorion deck, so it is harder for them to piece together A plus B, but they kept their Ponder. Let's go for this Hedge Maze. We do not need another forest right now. Okay, quite happy to have that Dismember. Getting days here would suck, but, you know. It's the games we play sometimes, isn't it? Teferi would be kind of annoying. Prismatic Ending, that's also annoying. Yeah, they're just sort of turtling up into control mode here. Which makes sense. Springheart Nantuko. We could try and start going wide with a Nantuko. Alternatively, we could just go and put a Nadu into play. But I kind of want to hold up the Zenith. Which probably means we're doing Scythecat Cub here. Alright, we got a Force of Will out of our opponent. I will play this land in case we need to Dismember so we don't die. Our opponent's only got 1 card in hand, so he'd have to rip off the top. I imagine we're going to see a Surveil land in our end step from our opponent here. What we can do next turn is go and fetch Dryad Arbor and then bestow the Springheart Nantuko on the Dryad Arbor. And then if we draw a land next turn, that's pretty good. Saga, our opponent's like not a super strong Saga deck. Like this is just a thing that is tutoring for them most of the time. I don't know if we want to fetch a Dryad Arbor right now. This is 2 points of damage if we fetch it. I don't think that's what we want to do. We might need the landfall trigger. If we draw something like a Scythecat Cub, for example. Scythecat Cub, please. I don't think I'm doing any of this right now. I think we're just going to hold up this Dismember, potentially around a daze. It kills Yorion, which is kind of a big deal. I think they're just going to grind Saga value, though. And then we're going to try and copy our Scythecat Cub with our Nantuko. Please don't have a removal spell right now. That would be annoying for us. They haven't cast a Plow yet. They do have the Plow. That is a sad one for us. I will deploy this land. So we can fog as a Saga constructs for quite some time. And they're going to be like 3/3 maximum for a while. And that's fine. Okay, Mystic Sanctuary. We're putting back the Ponder. We are putting back the Ponder. We're going to make a little friend. Sure, you can have a 1/1. They've got a Yorion in hand and they're about to draw Ponder. I suspect they are going to just make a construct and then they're going to Ponder. And then next turn is when the Yorion's going to come in, which is what we're saving our Dismember for, I think. We don't have any more tech lands that we can get with these Misty Rainforest apart from the Dryad Arbor. Okay, they got Shuko, so they shuffle off the Ponder. Construct coming in. We could just kill this. We could just get 2 landfall triggers and kill this. I'm just going to take 4 though. Like, our landfall triggers are so good in our deck that I just don't think it's worth burning it straight away. An endurance. Okay. That's something, isn't it? That can kill a 3/3 construct pretty handily. We can trade with the other one. A Nadu Winged Wisdom. Okay, I guess we are going to immediately dismember this one. Swords of Plowshares makes me sad that they're drawn. What else? A Tamiyo. Yep. The stream of good cards continues. So they're going to attack us here. Right, let's go and get ourselves some lands. Got a forest here. I think we just have to go and get another land. Do I think my opponent's graveyard is an important zone right now? Would I like dismembers back in my deck? I think I would like dismembers back in my deck. Right, they're going to plow our guy straight away. So now we go to blocks. Block here, block here, block here. And what am I doing? We need to block the bigger one. We'll trade this off the board now. They're going to play their Tamiyo. Right, we had our opponent down to nothing for a little while. And it's now pivoted somewhat. We need a good draw here. Springheart Nantuko. It's not a bad draw. Okay, getting a 2/2 here means we can, at worst, trade with this construct if they attack us. We might just take 3. But then getting pinged down by this Tamiyo is kind of sketchy too. So maybe we have to trade off the Nantuko. We're still left with a Nantuko. I just don't think we can afford to take 2 damage here when they've got a 1/3 flyer. They've also got Yorion coming down soon. Actually, it's a 3/3 now, isn't it? Okay, we're just going to take it and lose the game, I think. Because they're going to play this Yorion, and then they're going to have a 4 power flyer as well. Okay, they're not playing the Yorion. Interesting. So an endurance can save us here. So can a... Okay, so they're just flipping the Tamiyo. This can get back a plow next turn, which will be enough to kill us. Okay, have a plow already in hand, sure. Okay. And another plow. Alright, opponent, I understand. You have some better cards than I do. I think this is going to be a game 3 scenario. Technically, we're not dead. We can go and get Dryad Arbor. It sucks, but get to kind of play the game a little bit longer. Alright, I don't want to play against the Nadu anymore. Okay, we put up a good fight. Couldn't quite cross the finish line though. Do we need any more hate for their artifacts and enchantments? I don't think so. I think I like where we're at here. Our opponent had to have a lot of stuff. Maybe we don't need the crop rotations as much. And we could like have maybe bringing back a Nadu in and then what? The Springheart Nantuko. If our opponent's taking a controlling posture, we need to be more aggressive, I think. It's interesting, like our opponent is pretty much the only person I see playing the Yorion build of breakfast. But every time I play against them, it seems really good. A 1-lander. We have 25 lands, like a 50% chance of hitting. How good is this hand? Like, it's stacked with a bunch of stuff. We also have cover against the combo. Alright, I've convinced myself to keep this very sketchy 1-lander. I believe in the heart of the cards. You've been good to me today, deck. We're just getting plowed straight away. It's a Nomads. Okay. That could represent a turn 2 combo. If we draw a land this turn, though, I think we're just absolutely set for life here. We drew a land. Deck's perfect. Okay. So I think we need to get on board more than anything else here. Let's just hope that our endurance gets us through the day. Alright, force of will on this. This means our endurance is way more likely to resolve against our opponent. Storm, so we're not getting comboed this turn. If we draw another land next turn, then our hand goes from strength to strength. We can go Scythecat Cub and just restart popping off. Fetch land, even better. We're going to see a white source and a prismatic ending here. No, it's a blue source. It's probably going to be Ponder. Okay, Tamiyo. Tamiyo's good too. Tamiyo's also a nice body that they can put Nomads and core damage on as well. which sometimes is relevant. We did draw another land. Okay. Can I have a cub? Alright, we're going to go on the trampling creature, I think. A Nadu, Winged Wisdom. Sure. It's pretty strong. And it's certainly good against our opponent's removal. There's no point attacking here. They've got the Tario. Are they going to play a Nadu this turn? That makes me sad. Well, obviously, like, Nadu's a horrible design mistake that shouldn't be a thing that anyone gets to play with. But we are also playing in our deck, so we kind of can't really throw shade on other people. Alright, I don't think they had the immediate Nadu slam. I'm going to pending our poor little cat. It's coming with Tario. Getting a clue. It feels like they have the Nadu, they just missed on land. That's the vibes I'm getting from our opponent right now. Good time to draw Dismember. We did not... Oh, we knew what we were drawing the Nadu, didn't we? Right, Nadu. It's your time to shine. And we're going to attack with our Reclaimer. So we have Bristly Bill, so if we draw a land, we can start doing Nadu stuff. They're going to fog this damage onto the Tario. Please don't play land Nadu. Right. Ponder means we're not getting Nadu this turn. If we can draw a land on our next turn, then I think we get to pull ahead in a big way. Now we can still lose to our opponent being able to Nadu on the following turn. Alright, so they have a land for Nadu next turn. They also have... Okay, they have a Shuko, so we can't really interact very well when they do put the Nadu in. Okay, it's time to draw a land. We drew a land. Bristly Bill, please. Play this. Target Elvish Reclaimer. I can Green Sun Zenith for the guy that lets me sack a bunch of stuff. So I can sack my lands and just try and keep going that way. That seems pretty reasonable, doesn't it? Or I could go and fetch another land up here. I think we're going for a Zenith for 1 here. We'll get the Safekeeper. And we're going to give our Reclaimer Shroud. I just get rid of the Forest. This will get us a Nadu trigger. Oh, a Cradle. Yes, please. So then this Bristly Bill will go onto the Nadu. Then I will sack to give itself Shroud. Chocobo. I will then sack to give itself Shroud again. Get another trigger. How much mana do we have here? We have 4 mana, so we can Zenith for 3 here. And what does this get us? It's probably the Chocobo, isn't it? So we can double up our activations if we ever hit a land here. Well, on top of our library, we can't play it. Okay, so we're going to sacrifice targeting Bristly Bill. Get rid of this. Let's see. Oh, it's the land that we knew was there. So we'll grow the Nadu. Nadu will put a land in. Target Chocobo. Right, we're really popping off now. I will have an untapped land here. Let's get more mana to work with. Alright, we will grow the Chocobo, I guess, because it just gives us more triggers. Or this is the first time each turn, isn't it? Alright, so put a counter on Bristly Bill here. And then we just keep making the Nadu larger. Okay, we have a lot of mana here. So, oh no, we've just got another land here, haven't we? Let's crack this first. Let's go and get Dryad Arbor. We'll keep pumping the Nadu here. What do we Green Suns anything for? We need a way to get rid of their creature. How do we do that? How do we do that? We can go and get Azusa. That's kind of funny. We bought out the Azusa almost certainly, didn't we? Let's crack this. Let's get Forest. Let's target our Dryad Arbor. Alright, so now we're just targeting our Nadu. We'll phase out their guys. We'll crack this land. Go and get Forest. We will pump on our Nadu here. So we got 15. So we have lethal damage here. Do we need to get anything else here? We've already got the Safekeeper, so our creatures aren't getting killed. What am I missing? If they have Plow, they don't have their own creatures to Plow. This is lethal damage, so we just swing in. Alright! Whoa! Okay, Nadu's nonsense, and I hate the card, but that was funny. Okay, our opponent was about to Nadu us on the following turn. Oh, 4 rounds in, we are 3-1, so the 4-1 is on the board. Let's crack right on. No turn 1 drop is sad, but I'll live with it. Verdant Catacombs. Are we on another Cradle control matchup? Thoughtseize. Alright, we're going to lose our Scythecat Cub here. Evolution Sage looking pretty bad here. Ooh, we drew a 1-drop. Beautiful. Get in there, little bird. I'm not sure if our opponent is going to be Cradle control, because getting a swamp off of Verdant Catacombs instead of a Bayou when they have very few things to use their black pips on in their deck seems a little bit less likely. More likely to be something like Blue Black Reanimator. Oh, is a Bayou. And a Lotus Petal. Are we just getting stormed off here? We've got stuff for storm. Oh, okay, we're Green Black Reanimator. This could just be like Mono Black Reanimator with the sideboard pivot of Witherbloom Apprentice. Animate Dale on the Grizzlebrand. Are we going to beat an animated Grizzlebrand? I suspect no, but I would like to see a few more cards just to make sure that our opponent is not anything too spicy out there. Our deck with like non-stop Graveyard Hate losing to Reanimator is a bit awkward in game 1. But we have some good stuff to bring in. Because we can get Fairy Cards and we can get the Dismembers to deal with their sideboard pivot plan. Unmask. Sure, you can have a look at all these cards you've seen already. Calengate's Phase Out Grizzlebrand isn't enough to kill our opponent here. If we draw Crop Rotation, play a land, we get a 1-2. Crop Rotate, we get a 2-3. So we'll be 1 damage shy. We need to somehow draw 2 Crop Rotations. Right, discarding a bunch of stuff. A Green Sun Zenith. What does that actually do for us here? We can get a 1-drop, that doesn't help. This is going to connect next turn, and then I think it's just lights out. Alright, so let's go to the sideboard, I think. So I would very much like to have these cards for this matchup. This isn't really a matchup where we need to be doing Nadu stuff, I don't think. So these can go... Collector Ouphe has some text. It's not nothing. I think it's worth keeping. I don't really know if this is a Sylvan Safekeeper matchup either. I don't think it is. So that's 61 cards. So we need to take out 1 more card. Maybe it's just Traveling Chocobo. We don't need that if we're doing all of this. Cool. That seems fine to me. I'm really enjoying playing this deck. We have a piece of Graveyard Hate. That's something. I guess we keep turn 1 Graveyard Hate. I think we just get Dryad Arbor here. That allows us to go Scythecat Cub and pump it. So we can reduce our opponent's life total. It makes their graveyard plan worse. Now if they have a turn 1 protected, then we just die. But such is the nature of the game sometimes. This deck is far less egregious than the blue-black deck that gets to do all the things that our opponent's doing pretty much, but with only like 10 cards. But Entomb still feels like a bit of nonsense to me. Okay. What are we going to draw? A Cradle. That's pretty good, actually. So we'll make a Cub. We'll play a Cradle. We'll pump the Cub. We don't get to play anything here off of the Cradle. But it's in there for next turn. Maybe we should have played the Hedge Maze, actually, to Surveil. Thinking about it. Alright, please Entomb now. No. Because if they Entomb now and that's their thing, then the Endurance will always work. Whereas if they disrupt our hand first, and that sucks. Left a card on top. That's not great news for us. I guess it's probably slightly better news than... Well, considering our hand, it's not better news than them milling a big creature into the graveyard. Unmask, you say? Targeting us. Well, there goes our interaction. They took the Springheart Nantuko. That's because we can't pitch cast Endurance without the Springheart Nantuko. We just dead? Cabal Therapy. Okay, they're taking both cards. Do they have Entomb Reanimate to follow up afterwards? Witherbloom Apprentice. Okay, so it's time to draw Dismember. Okay, this actually works out alright for us. So we have 1 mana, so we play this land out. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 lands. So we get to attack with this if we want to, but we don't really want to attack with this. So 1 mana, 2 mana, 3, 4 mana. So I can actually get the Hedge Maze in here. Yes, please. I'll leave that on top. I will attack. They Chain of Smog themselves and we just phase this out. And then we can dismember it later on. So I think we've got enough here. Chain of Smog. Target themselves. Goodbye, Witherbloom Apprentice. So they Chain of Smog themselves for no value here. Then we get to also clean this up with the Dismember next turn. Or when it becomes relevant to do so. Play the land. I think we're going to grow the Dryad Arbor at this point. We have a Dismember for this guy. I like where we're at. They probably have a second Surveil land. Yeah. Most Reanimator lists, whether they're blue-black or the mono-black splash and green build, tend to have 2 Surveil lands. It's just some good free value you get. Right, they don't want to animate dead. They need 2 cards to get a big monster into play at this point. Alright, we managed to get the game. And they didn't see our Dismember, which was nice. I think we just send it again. It's still spooky out there. The Collector Ouphe obviously isn't amazing here, but sometimes it will shut off like Lotus Petals, which might be the green mana they need. Like, it does less than nothing. Sorry, more than nothing, not less than nothing. We got Graveyard Hate, but our hand doesn't play the game. I don't think we can keep this one. We have Graveyard Hate and our hand plays the game. What are we going to put back here? It's probably the Arbor. Yeah, Thoughtseize us. They are. Goodbye, Fairy Macabre, I expect here. Yep, it's gone. Can we draw an Endurance? Or a Fairy Macabre? Or a Crop Rotation? No. Okay, out comes a Chocobo. I don't feel good about this one. Cabal Therapy, targeting themselves. Sure. No Entomb required for this line. An Archon of Cruelty. Interesting they didn't want the Grizzlebrand there. Right, I think we're just dead here. We have very little ways of interacting with this. This member doesn't quite cut it. I think we're just done, to be honest. Unfortunate. We have a lot of Graveyard Hate in our deck, but we just couldn't muster it. Graveyard deck's very strong. It's a miracle, actually, that we lost to a Graveyard deck with our deck configuration. But Reanimated decks of all stripes are very strong. So we finished with a 3-2, and there were 1-2s, both of our losses. Let's talk about the deck. First things first, this deck absolutely rocks. I love it. It was really fun to play. There's lots of cool stuff going on. I did feel dirty doing Nadu stuff, but it went hard. I think there's some obvious cuts in this deck. Azusa and Evolution Sage are definitely on the chopping block, I would say. The Traveling Chocobo was really good, but I don't think it's something we want lots of. It's like, okay, we're in a spot where getting the Traveling Chocobo is going to be good. Then we get to have a couple more slots to play with. I'm not really sure what those slots should be. You could put like the Outland Liberator in the main. That's probably going to be better to tutor for than these a lot of the time. You could have like a big thing. So if we end up with lots of mana, we can like tutor for an Atraxa. You could even put like Natural Order Atraxa in here. So you shave one Nadu, you shave these 2, you put in 2 Natural Order and 1 Atraxa in the deck. And then you have that little line that you can push as well. I think there's a lot of play to a deck that looks like this. And there's different ways you can take it. Like, the fact that you get to interact with creatures using lands with the Talon Gates means that we have a lot more stuff going on. You could always just have the crop rotations and instead of these 2 creatures and just have more flexibility with those. It'll probably even shore up the graveyard deck matchup even more. Because then you just have, what, 4, 8, 12, 13 pieces of natural graveyard hate and Green Sun Zenith which can find more. That's a lot. So you should be fine in that sort of situation. Maybe you just cut like 2 of these, add in like 1 crop rotation, maybe have a 3rd Nadu. Like, I didn't really want this to be a Nadu deck. There was even a version I had that I played a game with that didn't have any Nadus in. But it felt like we did sometimes need it if our opponent was about to do something really busted, like our Cephalid Breakfast opponent when they were clearly trying to get a Nadu going, so we had to just beat them by doing our own thing. Undiscovered Paradise, there was that one game where I was like, it's a bit shaky having this in our hand, and it ended up being an absolute stunner and did loads of work. So that felt pretty good. We didn't really get to do any Oboro stuff, but it's the same sort of idea, and that makes sense. Yeah, I think there's a real deck in here, and you could certainly fine-tune it and help things out. Like, the last round we lost easily could have gone our way if we just had, like, 1 more piece of Graveyard Hate in our hand. That's all we needed, if our draws were just slightly kinder to us. So, yeah, a lot to enjoy with this deck. I think it's pretty strong. I would like to see some people who like playing this sort of deck refine it a little bit, because it does feel pretty good. It's in the same sort of ballpark as Cradle Control, but is kind of different. We are a lot more aggressive because of the Chocobo, and this thing does ramp up really quickly. And it's not as much of a dead drawer as you would expect because of things like Undiscovered Paradise, Oboro, and the Reclaimer, and crop rotation to some extent. But yeah, just get rid of the sort of the fun singletons. Maybe play like ramming up Excavator so you can wasteland lock people. That's something I enjoy doing. There's definitely options here. Deck is sweet. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, and if you need any cards for this, check out 341 Trading. Link is in the description. Goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.